What if everything that you feel is a lie? What if everything that you believe is a construct? And what if that's not even your construct, but it's a construct that you adapted along your journey of growing, getting older, becoming an adult? What if those beliefs that you have adapted came from someone else? Because it gave you comfort. Comfort to belong. Comfort to be right. Comfort to be loved. Comfort to have a point of reference on how to behave, on what to believe, on how to be a good human, a good daughter, a good husband, a good employee, a good citizen. What if those beliefs gave you comfort, but also restricted you in the same way? What if those beliefs helped you to fill a void? To fill the void of fearing to not belong, of not being loved, not being accepted, not being part of a group. And for that matter, what if those beliefs you have adapted and behaviors you have adapted were the permission for you to belong and to be right and to be okay? What if they were permissions to feel that it's alright to be you, even though that was never you? Because someone else believed that, because someone else believed this to be right, because that person also used this belief to belong. What if we run around having all these beliefs, all these constructs, all these ideas about life and about ourselves and about someone else, and everyone that we meet is a display of another belief on how they see the world? What if there's no real truth? At least not in what is right and what is wrong. What if everyone lives in their own world, experiences themselves through their belief system, through what they have learned, through their coping mechanism of belonging? And what if you could change that? What if you could change those beliefs? What if you could grasp this idea of running around in beliefs that restrict you? What if you would start to question, hey, is this actually what I believe about myself, about the world, about money, about dressing up, about who to be and what to think? What if you didn't need to be right? What if you didn't need to insist on your opinion, on your point of view? What if you didn't need to judge right or wrong in others, and most importantly in you? What if everything was okay the way it is? What if there were no emotions that you're not supposed to feel? What if there's no way how you shouldn't behave? What if you were allowed to experience everything that is inside of you without judging that? And even then, when you judge it, to be okay with that as well and to not judge that either. What if you're unique? What if you're absolutely unique and you don't need to fit in and be the same? Because I feel this is what we try to do sometimes, to be the same on some kind of level. Like, even with dressing, you know, there's always this trend in a season or in a year or whatever, and everyone's wearing the same dress, and you see them like, okay, so that's trendy now, cool, because everyone looks the same. What if you wear that? I mean, obviously because it looks good, and it probably does even. But what if you choose to wear that out of a feeling of belonging, out of a need, rather than a self-expression? What you're wearing, is that expressing you, or is that expressing a need to be seen, to be valued, to be a part of something? What if all these beliefs are a way of trying to fit in a world that at the same time restricts you? What if your soul was free to feel and express everything that it wants? What would it do? What if you were capable of being completely different than anyone else? And not even that being a protest to not belonging, if you know what I mean. Just because it is who you are, and not because you rebel against something that you feel doesn't fit. What if you were allowed to acknowledge your feelings and emotions without being scared of hurting someone else, and for that suppressing you or an expression of you just because you're afraid? Like, even, you know, if you're with someone, and I remember a moment in my life where I was with someone and I still liked someone else. I was like attracted to that person, and so my partner would ask me, so are you attracted to that person? And I would be like, no, I'm not, you know, pushing it all down, like not standing up for myself and how I truly felt, because I was scared of what that meant. I was scared of hurting someone, I was scared of these emotions, and I was scared of myself for that matter. And I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to change anything, it doesn't need to mean anything, it's just an expression of energy, I guess. So what if everything was okay? What if you had a space where you can express that? And I mean, how would it feel to give space to yourself, to acknowledge you, and not to run around believing what everyone else believes? You know, I was really super insanely super good in mastering adaptation. I feel I was this chameleon for a super long time, adapting to whatever people around me would believe. And suddenly it was my belief, and suddenly I thought that way and I behaved that way because I thought, wow, this person knows so much better than I do. Just friends, family, but also spiritual leaders. So I would always be on this hunt, like this crazy chicken running around, still with a head on, looking for approval and permission and knowledge and truth outside of myself, because I validated everyone else so much more than my own. I was looking for this one person who could finally give me permission to be okay, who I am, what I feel, what I want, what I desire, like whatever, you name it. And I was looking for someone else to give me that permission to be who I am, to be whole. And what if you're the only person that can give that to you? Because no one else is you. No one else knows your path. And you're absolutely bloody fucking unique in the most beautiful way. And there probably is no right and wrong, because whatever is right for you might be wrong for someone else. Right and wrong. So what if you choose you as a reference point? And even the most, I don't know if sophisticated is the right word, knowledgeable, wisdom, saturated, I don't know, person still does not need to give you permission to who you are. Because then what happens, and that happened to me big time, is adapting those, whatever they say, and trying to fit it into my life, even though I was not ready to do that. So I would then run around with this super spiritual ego, trying to be super above things, and being actually super confused about what I'm allowed and supposed to do again. Not listening to myself, but bombarding myself with videos and you name it, methods and stuff. But what if the only thing that matters is you? And you realizing your beliefs and separating those from you. This morning I realized I was constantly looking for approval, permission, like running from one belief to the next, adapting the next one, and then trying to fit into this one, and like all this crazy stuff, which is normal and human, obviously. But what if you're allowed to figure out for yourself what you believe? What if you don't need the guidance of anyone else, but just follow the path within you and ask your soul, your guide within, what's the right next step to take on your journey of self-expression, rather than expressing a belief that you adopted from your family. And all of them are, it's okay, you know, obviously it's okay, because everyone does what they do and we always give our best. What if you're allowed to be free of that? Be free of the illusion of that belief that you have about yourself, about something that actually maybe allowed you to be part of something and allowed you to be worthy or whatever, but at the same time it limited a lot of your expression. And what if you had a space to explore that, those limiting beliefs, and expressing what you really fear instead of what you should fear? And that's what I want to create here in this space, in another group. I also want to do a podcast. And you know, I was always looking for permission to do that in someone else. Is it right to do? Or is it not right to do? But it's just what I like. I like rambling about stuff that goes on in my head, in my mind, in my heart, and just express that in this way. So I think there will be a few more videos of me doing this. And yeah, so I might see you in a different video. And until then, dare to explore your beliefs. Dare to invite creativity into your life, your own creative expression, and maybe just taking a different road to work and not like following this straight line of how it has always been, where you don't need to think, but where you just follow, where you don't need to be creative because you're just following. What if you allow a bit space and you do something different? I love you.